Welcome back, folks. It's time for some more Valorant action. Tom, we've just witnessed a bit of a stomp on map number 1, Pacific dominating. And I want to know if you expect this to be the same coming into Ascent. Because listen, you saw me some hope about the regional results of Saw, about this map for them. But recovering from a stomping like that, you think what we saw from them at the end was enough?
Not really. I think, like, realistically, it's a much better map for them. They play fairly standardized compositions, but I just have so much faith in Pacific at this point. I think they've proven that they are a team that are very solid in the way that they play. And I don't know. I just don't see this being turned around. I feel like for Saw, obviously, they're a team that have already been eliminated as well. So it's going to be pretty difficult. I was muting in Discord, but I was talking to the stream, so there you go. I've given my answer. You just couldn't hear it.
Well, I'm sure your answer was very insightful, Tom, and I enjoyed every second of it that I didn't hear. So, with this in mind, though, Tom, how do I ask you the same question, but in a different way? Now, we'll move on. I think at this point, the reality is, my 2 cents on it, there is a clear top runner when it comes to this group. Pacific have made their way through the majority of the teams with relative ease. The game against Maus was close, was pushed to double digits, but decimating the ultimates, decimating Job Life on the second map, and now dominating Saw to start this one out. I'm more curious to see how Pacific are going to match up when we go across the board, and maybe we're looking at your CGNs, your Go Next, your Apex, who are kind of in the running for those top spots. Realistically, doesn't look like anyone can challenge them, but Saw, they have to believe that they can. Here on Ascent, it is an uphill battle, that's for sure. And I think one of the things that we can look at as we look back and see that 13-6 domination is in that previous matchup, or the map that we just witnessed, your Abyss. There's a lot of sorry, I lost my page for a second there. There's a lot of positives to draw.
There's a lot of no.
What are they? There's a lot of things out there.
There wasn't much. Honestly, nothing happened.
Maps,
if you just
guns,
joined us, nothing happened. Absolutely nothing.
Pretty much, to be honest. Pretty much. And inside of Saw, I think they would rather that be known. Nothing happened rather than what truly occurred. But yeah, there's a couple of things like BRK up against Comeback. We were worried about him or curious to see how that matchup ran. I think BRK on the server certainly felt like there were a couple of rounds that he was involved in pretty heavily. He had his thumbprint on it, and you can't ask for much more. So it's not even necessarily that the individuals, there's one guy dropping 38 kills like we have seen earlier on in Ascension. This is just a team diff, and we saw so many rounds on Abyss where, you know, the opening pick goes towards the side of Saw, and then through trading and through good space taking, Pacific are able to just overrun the site again and again.
Well, we are blown away by the fact that we have got standard compositions. I'm a little bit disappointed we don't have Larocque on a Phoenix, just because it was fun. I enjoyed watching him play. It seemed to work out quite well, but evidently that was just something they were throwing in for their previous match versus Job Life. He's back to the standard, it seems. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him on that agent, because they play fantastically well. For the side of Saw, this would be a statement. If they can sort of face them in this position, maybe they could show that, okay, there's a chance for us in this series, but I still favor the Turkish squad heavily.
It's impossible not to after what we just witnessed. They were on fire, and Comeback, no doubt, going to be a strong factor for them moving into Ascent. We saw BRK step up to the plate, certainly deliver, but those first couple rounds of Abyss, well, indeed more than that, the first 10 or so, need to be forgotten and not seen again for the side of Saw. Whiffed shots across the board, and I think even in a game that doesn't matter for them, it doesn't carry any weight, it doesn't affect anything from their side, so the pressure is off. We're still seeing what looks to be the pressure getting to these players, and at that point, you know, we got to ask, you know, how do you start without needing those buffer rounds to warm up? Because I think what we saw in the end wasn't terrible. They were certainly matching up, they were certainly able to swing for the fences, but it took a while to get there, and that's the real problem.
Yeah, I think also it's a much more standard and basic map. It's one that's been in the pool for the longest amount of time ever. So realistically, you're not going to be caught off guard by the more all-in takes. You know what you're going to be up against. I don't think the same excuses could be there. And as I said, regionally, this map has been incredible. They managed to beat the Ultimates on it as well. So I think they've proven that they can definitely play this map to a very high standard, especially, actually, no, on both sides of the map. So I don't think it's too much of a worry for them at this stage. And as I said, they're kind of going into it with not a lot to lose. Like, realistically, what is there to lose for them at this stage? They're already out of the tournament. They're 0-3. They can't manage to make it through no matter what happens here. They could 13-0 the next two maps. So realistically, might as well just try and make this one competitive, make this one a little bit more interesting, and show that, okay, we do have that structure. We can sort of play together on this one.
Well, it looks like we've made it all the way to Ascent. Saw fighting to get to Sunset, and I think at this point, you know, like I said, okay, a couple rounds at the end of the last, it puts wind in their sails. A pistol here, invaluable for them. Pacific starting out on the defensive side, and there is still time, you know, there's 30 seconds on the clock, but I see three players grouped up at that mid barrier. Now, considering the dominant scoreline of the past map and how it probably felt to them, bar the pistol and the 4 rounds in a row as a result of it, probably felt to them like they were pretty dominant. I think they're going to start this one out with a lot of aggression.
I'll have to wait and see. For Saw, they are going to start out on that attack. Look to try and take a little bit of extra space. Loiter already off to a flying start, going down middle, challenging them. And you can see for Saw already maybe just feeling the pressure a little bit. When a team does that to you at the opening, you know you're going to get pushed and pulled. And looking for any further aggression outside B. And they're actually moving towards the exact position on the map that has been stacked up by the defensive side. 3 players there, but they managed to get rid of Laurent.
That they have. The first man has fallen, and Lloyd is not far behind. Tagged down low on the A site. Are making their way in, but so too is Rose, having retaken a bit of control and caused chaos. Comeback's able to grab a kill on the back of it. Fragger 1v3, trapped in a corner and left there with a 1-0 start for Pacific. That's not what you want to see if you're a Saw fan. Not damning by any means, but, well, we don't want to see this one go quite as dominantly as before. So you want to see Saw on that board early.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, again, Comeback, he's been lighting up the server. I think everybody's been talking about him when it comes to Ascension in EMEA. And the fact that he comes into each one of these rounds with such an incredible amount of confidence. You have to bear in mind as well, like, sure, you're looking at Pacific and going, okay, well, maybe if they lose this game, they won't finish top of the group. But that's incorrect, because they beat everybody on head-to-head. So for them, this is just fun. Like, this is them getting a few extra practices on maybe maps that I was gonna say they're not confident on, but they won this yesterday versus Job Life anyway, so it's not like the craziest thing. Nice shots out from Addicted, at least making this one a little bit more competitive, maybe building up a little bit of confidence. He was one of the players that at least managed to do a bit of damage in the previous map, considering how dominant it was. That's not a bad mantle to have, but ultimately, round still goes the way of that defensive side. Might be a little bit more costly than they would have liked it to be.
Yeah, I would imagine so. You take a look down at their economy now, like, they're really not going to have a lot to work with in terms of rifles. No one's upgrading like crazy. So there's a couple pistols. Runs down that cost. So this is their chance. They lost the pistol. It's okay. Now they've got the rifles against this weaker buy. 3 Bulldogs, 2 Sheriffs. Many chances for Saw to get on that board early. A site is where the spike is going. A little bit of a fake playing out on B. Doesn't seem to be working. I can already see Comeback is on his way to the A site.
Or you feel like for a second Loiter is going to just hit that shot through the smoke. I've got to the point with this team where sort of all bets are off. It's like watching Seeded. You just go, maybe he hits it. Like, who am I? Who am I to tell Seeded what he can and can't do? And that's how this Pacific team just feels as a whole. Like, oh, he's going for spam shots straight through smoke, which could realistically get him killed. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. I think you'll do it. And for the most part, they do. The drone is going to get them all the information. They've already seen a multitude of players, pinged up one of them. Hasn't pulled any rotation yet, but the knife is going to give more and more away. This is a great opportunity for Saw. Only a couple of players here, and if I've learned anything from the game the other day, holding on to the boathouse can be very difficult.
Well, it comes with its challenges, but Rose is meeting that challenge. Come back, 16 HP won't last too long here. The spam gives him away. Dropped, as is Rose, and Larocque not far behind, just 69 HP on the swing, able to drop Addicted. And the time here, a bit of a factor, 10 seconds. Spike has to be committed. Loida knows it, but not in the right position to punish. Never mind, picking off an individual, and another! Loida just shut that down. They tried to get into Boathouse, but he will not let them enter that doorway. A third on the board for Pacific. Oh, this is heartbreaking for Saw. That was their round.
Spike down B.
I don't know. I feel like after the last map, things stopped being heartbreaking and started just becoming another day at the office. Like these youngsters are just insane. You can't even like give them 0.2 of a second to prepare their shots because they'll land them. High pressure situations mean absolutely nothing to them. And the 1v2 made to look very, very easy. 3-0. A strong defensive side start. Of course, guess what? Comeback's going straight to the Outlaw just to make sure he can try and farm up some of those low shield players. And guess what? All 5 of them have got the light shields. And they have spotted him already. They've also got a lot of space to get in on towards this B site. The Hunter's Fury trying to disrupt, trying to almost make things awkward. They haven't checked the corner though. First kill's free. Is there anything more? Yes, there is. Jellison holding the line and has bought time for Rose in the backline and bought time for the rotations. Rose will even take one with him. But Cunha's made it interesting. Back to a 2v2.
Right here.
Workable position, but the spike being down in the open, a big problem. Cunha can potentially find one and TP up for it. Oh, but Addicted goes out wide, takes one down, and leaves us into the 1 versus 1. No smoke. Cunha has quite a distance to run once he jumps up top. He's being very cautious, with no idea where Loida is lurking, waiting for that chance. And oh, the position's being given away. The shot from Cunha is good, waiting for that repeat, knowing Lloyd is going to go for it, but 15 seconds left. The pressure's on for Saw. It's Cunha that has to make the move. It was a fake to start. This one being stuck all the way. Lloyd has not caught him, but knows he hasn't fallen back and catches him in the open. Another round on the B site where Lloyd will not let up. That's 4-0 for Pacific. And after the dominant map in the previous, this is the last thing Saw needed.
Lloyd is just insane. Like the initial hold, Jellison did very well. I think Cunha had a decent round as well. But even still, this is one tough position to try and get back from. 4-0. Again, they're going to invest. The operator now into hand as well, so it's not going to make things any easier. We'll see if this attack can finally get themselves on the board.
After what we've seen, I don't know how high my confidence levels are. No high impact ultimates really, but a couple very close, and Larocque is online. Nice angle. That's 1 kill for free. Cloudburst used, but Lloyd is on the off angle, closing this down. A deadly duo waiting on the A site. I've already claimed the spike. Fragger won't get much more. Denied after the initial engagement. Swings to close the door and gets shot by the op. This is a devastating scenario yet again. round after round for Saw, where it feels like either they have a small opportunity and get destroyed immediately, or they never get started. The round's over before it begins. Drop down. Well, he waited for the reload, but there were plenty more players primed and ready for the fight.
That one was a little bit cleaner. 5-0 for Pacific on the defense. Their opponent's map choice going about as well as theirs. I wonder if there's going to be a continuation of these 4 spies. This one seemingly lesser than the last. Cunha is going to invest into a rifle and light shields, but bear in mind, I was about to say, he wouldn't be able to buy into the next round if he does it. Maybe some frustration or some conversations about a hero rifle. But it does look like they've opted for the lighter option. For BRK as well, a single kill and a death would be Bladestorm. An orb being taken as well, so it's not even as much of a risk. And he has more cash than the rest anyway, so not really the end of the world. The drone just leading the path for comeback. Don't know if you're going to expect this operator this far forward and already losing the lurk. It gives up so much of the map that Saw are actually going to have to reposition and look to try and claim some of that ground back.
Scanning ahead.
The reveal will not actually catch anyone, and the drone won't fly with... Okay, a good place knife by Laroc. Lloyd is down as well. BRK's claimed some serious space. That's the one rifle they've gotten, although BRK's tagged up and Fragger is too. They've got the advantage. They've got the site on lockdown. The Hunter's Fury, all that could recover this. BRK desperately dodging it. The next fire goes towards Cunha, but he's dodging too. Well handled. And the Hunter's Fury of Rose not finding its mark. Sets them up now. Close range angles, headshot angles on the way out. A chance for the weaker weapons below to land, and it's BRK trading out his teammate from afar. This is all that Saw needed. It could well be their first round on the board. Jellison trying his best to deny, and he's done well. The main player of the round, the only one to find the kills down, and the rifle no longer in play. Cunha good for at least the one, and it's addicted to try to recover this. The shock dart's not landed, and it's already close to half. The next swing could be brutal for addicted. He wants to get an arrow out, but in the end, it's the Sheriff to close Saw with a round at long last.
Definitely got dicey. BRK, an incredible round from him, just being able to get multiple openers into the site, especially with the way things started. They needed him to have a hero around, and he definitely did. Even still, it came down to the very late stages, with Cunha having to hold the ground at the end, and addicted just playing with that timer. This will now give a big boost for Saw in terms of their economy. It'll give them an extra purchase, even if this one doesn't go their way. It's definitely not going to get any easier from here on out. That operator hasn't gone anywhere, but BRK has.
Yeah, well, I don't think many players want to go where BRK is gone. He's down and out of the round. Rose sends addicted to meet him, and a chance for more with Fragger up close. Nice duel. Well, at least it seemed that way, right? Jellison's there, deeper down on the angle, trading the teammate, leaving Pacific with the advantage, with the spike down in the open too. I see the aggression from Lloyd. It's being spotted by the camera, so nothing big to come of that, and they should be able to reclaim the spike. The problem comes in the 2 versus 3, 50 seconds on the clock, and oh, that gives them plenty of time to go where they want. They just have to read where the stack is.
That's the thing. There's still utility to give the game away.
I know exactly.
Lockdown's going to be used, and you might be thinking it's a little bit early, but it will buy things down to the 30-second mark. They're going to go running into it. They want to try and isolate this man. They want to try and fight him, and you know what? They've succeeded. I thought that was one hell of a gamble, but it's definitely worked out. I guess expecting that must be the weakest site. You wouldn't use a lockdown if there was multiple players there. Loiter again, though. This is his domain. This is his site. Even though he might not be playing it most of the time, he's looking for a 3-for-3 retake, and this time he has to... Oh, but it doesn't matter! It's the Omen site. Just this time, the story is flipped.
We had a confidence building round that led to a large number over on the previous map, at least a relative to what Saw had previously. That round right there, Cunha, unbelievable. The nade even hits him, 20 HP, just the one shot needed, but none come close. That's a second round locked in for Saw, a chance now to bring this a little bit further. If they win this round, Pacific could be on an eco. You could see this scoreline very, very close from what was a pretty damning position. Even in that 2v1, it was looking like 6-1 and Pacific running away with things. Instead, a lifeline delivered at the last second.
I must wait.
Oh, with those back-to-back clutches. This might have just put the fire back into Saw. Still, both teams' economy on the edge. But that's a decent start. Removing Larocque from action with the operator. BRK has been fantastic, and he continues to be. Now has a Blade Storm of his own to fight with, taking the space. He looks to be the catalyst. Dear Lord, Comeback just goes dashing in. He wanted that fight badly, it seems, but a 1-for-1 trade, definitely not worth it. And while his counterpart has done so much, there's little Jellison can do. That's going to be a third. There's nothing that can be done. And of course, it's BRK, who didn't even take a point of damage in that round.
The individuals stepping it up for the side of Saw. This is what we needed to see, and better late than never. This could have been 6 or 7-1, and instead, a tight scoreline. Jellison left to save on the other side of the map. Economy low for the side of Pacific. The attack side really getting their boot in the door. For Saw, yeah, they have to take this map and then go to Sunset, but it's one foot in front of the other. And previously, dealing with Loida and Larocque towards the side of A, there was no question about it. It wasn't happening. They're starting to be able to crack open what was previously an impenetrable wall. And I think you really have to look at a man like BRK for why that is possible. Can they do it again, though?
Well, evidently, Pacific are trying to come together to make sure that doesn't happen. They used the Blade Storm in the last round. It wasn't a low buy. They had rifles. So they're now sat in a position where their lead is slipping. It's happening a little bit earlier than it did last time. Of course, the lead is still theirs, and there were no slouches when it came to the attack side, so it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I think we're starting to see what Saw can do, and yeah, BRK, Cunha as well, with Addicted stepping up in clutches. This is the version of Saw that we wanted to see, especially with a clean round at their back. Starts to build up some of the extra money to invest into this next round, and for the defense, oh, they can have a couple of hero rifles here and there, but it's mostly going to be pistols.
Alarm bot out. Turn out.
Yeah, you can see they've stuck with that as the barriers go up. Lots of pistols for the side of Pacific. The timeout used to collect themselves and possibly even just discuss the next round and get the most juice for the squeeze here with Comeback and Jellison having those rifles. The presence early given away towards B. That drone just now heard. And we can see Pacific are starting to rotate back into position there. Rose to fill in the gap. Comeback on his way. Even a slight rotation from Jellison. They're thinking about it. The spike's still outside of B on its way in. It looks like they're going to walk into a heavier defended side, or at least it did. We're second guessing it now. Saw on the way to the other side of the map.
And with Loiter not having a whole lot of support, getting caught out. Jellison's also been revealed. It would have to be Comeback, and again, it's only going to be the one and done. The trade's coming in thick and fast. Jellison, though, has locked them in, forced them to go back towards that B site. The defense has almost completely left that position. Larocque only just making it in. He doesn't realize how far forward they are. They're being pushed and pulled across the map. The rotations not quite working for this defensive side. Well, it's going to take a risk, and that risk, it shouldn't pay off. In fact, Rose is going to be completely blinded, and Cunha's there to help out with the final.
A nice cleanup in the end, and yes, the round goes as expected. What we warned of. Saw winning out that round just a little bit ago. A big individual step up, and now the rounds start to come flooding in. 5-4 on Pacific now with a full buy. Operator in play. And yeah, the null command alongside the From the Shadows. I'm not certain of their impact, but Addicted, well, a lot of these Hunter's Furies have been terrifying. I don't expect it off rip in the round, but keep an eye on that drone. If it finds its mark, it could be in trouble on that defensive side. The op, though, the main focal point for me, and Comeback is pushed all the way up in B main. A potential fight for him and for Rose here on mid.
Oh, it seems like they've been how's Rose managed to get away with this? Only going to be the 2, but even still, that's such high impact. Not cleared out. They sent the Sova elsewhere to check outside of B. That's normally where you send the drone. That's normally where you put the util to clear. It wasn't the case. From a 4-round streak ending in an unfortunate manner, Pacific and more importantly Rose have got away with one there.
Just a guy tucked in the corner, and the bait further back. You get a little too pigeonholed in. It's the only thing you can see. A small mistake, but a very, very costly one. And Saw, win streak broken. Bankroll still there to support them, but now Hunter's Fury having been invested in the previous round, there's a lot of ults in play right here. And well, Fragger has tried to activate the null command, null effect, except for the damage done. It ends up leading to even another player in Addicted getting tagged low. Luckily, they're able to get him back online, having contested this laneway for this alley, which the spams were coming from. TP around Loida, straight in for a free kill. The spike is just around the corner.
Cunha's going in alone. He might get caught out because of it. Oh, this is a problem. Does get away with one, but that's the spike on the deck. It's a messy round, and the defense have decided to just leave this one. Larocque just going ham to try and hold on to them here, but then BRK comes in from behind. It is one of the most peculiar rounds I've ever seen, with fights across the map. A death match, if anything.
Last round before the switch.
And well, they couldn't match up to Pacific in that race.
What a peculiar round indeed. You have the attackers being able to get a player inserted on that B site. Then the execute on A does not work. They're not expecting such aggressive control to be held of short that deep into the round. 7-4. Defensive side stringing 2 together, putting that dominance back up on the board. And Saw, they're going to put everything into this one. The big ults aren't there anymore, and they've got to be scared of B main. After what we saw in the previous round, you can see they're back and forth around the entrance to B main, not wanting to overcommit, knowing at any moment that recon's coming through, and that Odin spam not going to be far behind. But Rose is going to give them a moment to breathe.
Instead, they look to again split, looking to head in towards this A site. The operator ready and waiting. And now the dash comes through. Now, Comeback did actually walk away. The fake had done enough. The flash is madness. It's madness. But somehow Larocque survived. What? Oh, I guess the side of Saw must have been running around with scissors, because that's the only way Larocque gets away with that one.
Shutting them down.
How have they gotten away with it? Such domination from the Pacific side, and it ain't ending yet. Still yet to see a defensive player fall in this round, and I don't. Well, okay, we'll see one fall.
Everybody gets one.
That's good. But yeah, I'm feeling Saul's chance to take in the round, and now the half 8-4 as we settle it. That's a very strong first half for Pacific, considering the domination in the previous map. It could be a death sentence. We'll find out if it is after the break.
Spike down.
Welcome back, folks. 8-4 to Pacific as they mount their attacking side here on Ascent. Saw's map pick. We had 4 straight rounds for Saw, a streak that was quickly interrupted and put to bed. Pacific now look to close this one out. They won the pistol to start out the first half. They win the pistol here in the second, Tom. It is going to look very bleak for Saw.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think that it's already a bit of a bleak scenario after the streak was ended, but there has been no doubt in my mind that this squad should be able to get those remaining rounds. We'll have to wait and see. As said, this map for Saw has always been stellar. They've proven they can play both sides of it, but that's not the start they were looking for. Cunha trying to turn the tide, and the tide has not been turned. It leaves Addicted. He's had his moments. I will say, not the biggest fan of Larocque's position right now. And most of the time when you play these 2v1 scenarios, you want to make sure you don't give a 1v1. And he most certainly is.
Oh, yeah, he is a risk taker, I think it's fair to say. Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes it doesn't. But here, no punish. Addicted with the reveal. Time ticking very quickly, though. He is going to have to up the pace. The drop down into the open. Larocque almost in position to swing and not needed. Jellison, the one to close that out. And another pistol for Pacific. 9-4 in the map. Facing into what should be an eco. This is looking like a death sentence for Saul. One that they are going to struggle to recover from.
Player standing. Down.
Honestly, I think the most impressive thing with this team might be that if Pacific win it all, at least I think 2 of their players, Loiter and Larocque, will not be old enough. So they could make a partnership with another tier 2 team and win again. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did. That would be the biggest flex of all time. Just not being old enough, being loaned to someone else, and then still winning. Like, that would be... Well, I think they've become some of the most expensive youngsters ever. Little bit depressing, of course, because I think there's no doubt that these youngsters are definitely ready for the VCT, but there are rules, there are laws in place, unfortunately, that mean you have to be 18 to be in the league. Nice shot from Addicted, though. Not a bad start. Of course, the player that's gone down only has a pistol. Oh, that's not a pistol, though. Comeback left low as well. There's a real opportunity here. Actually, with them walking into what is a fairly stacked up A site, already a player very low, using Guardians and Bulldogs at that. I'm starting to get a bit nervous here for Pacific.
Yeah, understandably, they are running into it, and BRK, the one to present the major threat. In fact, another down below, a double for Cunha. It's looking very good indeed. Larocque left to try to pick up the pieces. 25 seconds left. And 2 players grouped up. He's just 2 HP. Okay, well, he's got an isolated fight, but walking into that, not going to be easy. A 3K from Cunha, and Saw are back on the board.
No, I think having the initial fight go so well for Addicted, it just forced the hand of this attack side to go walking into what was the stack. I also think it was very disjointed. Like, a lot of what this team does well on the attack side is play together, like have those sort of like fast-paced rounds where they group up. They didn't do that here. It was a player pushing through short who was low, one player goes in. It just makes things a little bit easier for the side of Saw to isolate those fights. They're not going to take a leaf out of their opponent's book. They're going to see that outlaw onto BRK. He was definitely very good when it came to the sniper in the first half and in the last map, in all honesty, when he was actually in a position to find kills. He did the job well. Of course, the purchase here for the attack kind of sucks, if we're being honest.
Scanning ahead. Found them.
It is a bit poor. Fair to say. You have to invest a couple more credits, get the damage done typically, but the side of Saw, they'll be happy to see that. BRK gets a nice easy kill onto Loida, and everyone else still standing is an easy kill as well. In theory, just one shot to the body. Well, it only counts if you hit the body, and it seems like they most certainly have for the rest of these kills. 6 on the board now for Saw, just 3 behind. I mean, this is the point where one more buy round going their way, and I start to believe they're very much back in this game.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like the pistol round probably should have been a nail in the coffin, but instead finding the return puts a huge boost to the economy. It means they'll come into this one with a very strong round. In fact, they're going to go in with an operator, and they have enough to buy in the next anyway, so why not? And for the attack, it leaves them with some pieces missing. Not going to have the fragment on Larocque, already having themselves low shields on most players, and almost definitely won't have a buy into the next round if they were to lose this one. So we'll see. This could be a good opportunity for Saw to save some face and get themselves back into the map.
Yep, definitely seems like it could be, and they're playing this one patiently, understandably, for the defense. Pacific, a minute on the clock, decision time. Seems like they're already gearing up for this A take. Cage up, Paranoia in return. Cunha under pressure. That dash already come in. We're losing players left, right, and center on the site for Saw. Comeback jumps in to save the life of Loida. And a 5 versus 2 emerges. This was a successful A take if ever I've seen one. Addicted might have a chance to catch someone off guard, breaking around towards short. The door is sealed shut and 2 players low on the site. With it having to be broken open, I don't think they're going to be in any way surprised by his position.
No, for him though, he might as well go for this. He has enough credits that he'll be able to buy into a rifle next round, and a better one than the Bulldog. For BRK, I'm not so sure. I think giving up the operator there had no value. Like, you're up against 5 players. Maybe you get 1. It's an extra orb. Sure, they have some spare credits, but that was a little bit of an overextension for me. And I guess for Addicted, he's come out with an extra gun, so he can drop over another op. But
Right here.
yeah, that doesn't seem like it was worth it.
No, the cost here quite heavy. And a timeout for Saw, as they're going to take their time to close out this map. They're going to need a pretty strong performance, stringing together round after round, shutting down Pacific. We need to see players like Comeback and Larocque silenced. And even then, the impact of even the bottom of the board for Pacific has been up there for round wins. A lot to discuss for them. And I think in particular, the impact of BRK early round with that operator could be what separates Saw in terms of a victory or a loss. I don't know quite how easy it's going to be to land those impactful early kills, though.
This is definitely crunch time. That round was so clean for the side of Pacific. And as I said, when they go for these executions as a group, I feel like they have a crazy ability on like dive comps, like dive aggression, like where you see the pop flashes from Larocque. Comeback as an entry is sublime, but everybody is committed to the bit. Like they are all in with these fights, and when they do that, I feel like they're incredibly difficult to stop without the right util. When they play the defaults, I think that's where the opportunity lies a little bit more for the side of Saw. And why it seems like BRK might agree. This is an unorthodox position to have an operator, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's unorthodox. Loiter is so ready for it. The second swing might catch Comeback. Never mind. Oh, it just goes from bad to worse. But from good to even gooder, I guess. For the side of the attack. Oh, they're just, yeah, it's just done. There's just unstoppable at this stage. I don't know how he corrected in time. I don't know how Loiter was prepared, but they're one step ahead.
It really does just appear like there's nothing you can do in those moments. And this is similar to what we saw in Abyss in so many of the rounds.
Enemy remaining.
It just felt like Pacific moving as a unit were better. Moving as individuals were better. And at a certain point, you have to just put 2 and 2 together and say maybe Pacific are just better. And it definitely seems to be the case in terms of even just the group. Like I said, a couple close maps against Maus, but they smashed the ultimates. And on the second map, absolutely annihilated Job Life. Here versus Saw, there's not been, I don't know about you, Tom, but I if there's been more than 2 rounds where I felt like it was anyone's game, I'm surprised. You know, for the most part, this has just felt like Pacific's series.
I think the thing is, it's like they had the 4-round streak after the start, and for then I was like, okay, and then they ran through mid without checking a corner, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's done. Like, it's so hard when you make those mistakes, and those are like glaring mistakes as well. I think that's the frustrating thing. Is like, these are things I think are just happening because of pressure, because of who they were up against, because the team that are on the other side, and because of how things have gone so far. I don't believe that those are mistakes they would be making week in, week out. And it just makes it so much more difficult for them. Straight in. Good start for Cunha. He's had his moments. There's no doubt about it. This guy has individual prowess. And even going to try and find something. Lorca's killed himself. Well, a little bit of help from your friends, I guess. The attackers are going to throw down a lockdown. They're hoping that maybe this will slow down the push. It's done anything but. They're going above and beyond. Maybe beyond the grave.
Spike down A.
And now it comes down to just Loiter. The guy has been unreal in the clutch, but not this time. His counterpart of BRK will win this one. A little bit of comedic relief for the side of Saw as they were helped out by Lorok.
Yeah, well, they can thank him later, I suppose. I don't know. I think for the side of Saw, you start to count them out. Same thing happened on Abyss. You count them out, and that was where the 4. Okay. All right. Well, there was no need to show it in such high definition. Here, it came down to just a second or so to actually get that lockdown destroyed. That could have been a very awkward scenario unfolding. Maybe a different result for the round. BRK, a little too slow getting into position there, and comeback has punished with a great amount of damage done to Cunha as well. Stuck in the smoke. Bladestorm looking for another victim. Won't be offered just yet.
Oh.
What? They even thought about a flash. There was a moment where Fragger was about to throw a flash, decided not to, and the push still happened. That is just a lack of synchronizing as a team. Another awkward fight, and this one seems to be done. Hunter's Fury used, and before the ult is done, the round is.
Match point.
This is seemingly coming to a close. There's definitely been a difference in individual ability, but I also think in cohesion. This round is a prime example of that. It's been messy. While at 12-7, Pacific have proven again and again that they might not necessarily choose this map. Regionally, it might not be their best, statistically at least. But picking it against them, well, after this, unless there's a 5-round streak, they will have beaten both Saw, who, as we mentioned at the beginning, regionally and including a game versus the Ultimate, 16-1 this year, and Job Life, who again had I believe, an almost flawless ascent. But those statistics mean nothing when the Turkish princes are on the server, when this man is facing you down. He is lurking with an operator. That's how confident he is right now. He's selling a ruse of a solo jet op on A, and they might actually double back to join him. No, they don't need to. Loiter's found another pick.
My ult is
Addicted's got a fight with an Odin on short, and the spike is going down. They're not going to be able to stop that one.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, the shot from comeback as well. Insult to injury, really. This has been a dominant score line on the first map and a dominant display on the second as well. Pacific for the win they most certainly have earned, and they've topped out the group with that. I mean, there was no doubting it anyways, but doing so flawlessly, that certainly sends a statement to the rest of the competition. You better watch out if you're over in that group A, because there's a serious contender waiting over here.
Yeah, I think they'd already earned the #1 spot when it came to the beginning of the day, but if it wasn't guaranteed before, it definitely is guaranteed now. A mega impressive performance, a squad that is going to have eyes on them from now until the end of the tournament, and a team that I dare say are probably the favorites to take it at this stage. They have looked so impressive all the way through. And yeah, I think the second place over in the other group better be ready, better be prepared, because they are looking like one hell of a unit.
Oh yeah, they absolutely are. There is a lot to be said about this Pacific squad, and I think the vast majority of it is positive. What we've seen from them has been clean, it's been clinical, and it's certainly been successful. Not a single series lost. I know we're going to be talking to Rose in just a little bit, Tom, and we have a couple of questions for him, but really the questions lie with the rest of the teams in this tournament of, can anybody actually step up to the plate against these guys? We saw Pacific, as I said, against Maus have a rougher day, but if a 2-1 with like 13-7, 13-10 is the worst you're going to look going through group stages, well, I might have been a favorite
as well. That's the only map in the whole thing. Everybody else, they 2-0 Job Life, which I don't think was an expectation. And most of the time, there's at least one map where they just, it doesn't even look close. Like they 13-3'd Job Life on Lotus. Again, another map that they've looked good on. That's been the thing with this roster, is they can have like a close map that a lot of the time they'll grind out, and then they have a map where they just bully their opponent. They just absolutely steamroll them. It has been an incredibly clean route so far for them in the group stage, and this was no different. Like, sure, I definitely don't think Sora played their best, and of course, it's got to be frustrating. It's a whole year that leads to this moment, and unfortunately, you don't take a series. They could have easily taken the first one. We've mentioned Maus. They seem to go close versus everybody. But I think in this matchup, I don't even know if they had played their best if they would have been able to compete, because Pacific just look beyond anybody else right now. And Comeback, I think he's the only player on this team who I don't know how old he is. Maybe that's a question I'll ask to Rose, because I know everybody else is listed. I don't think, at least when I last checked, Comeback wasn't there on Liquipedia. I might go have a look. Okay. Oh, he is now 17 years of age. So even he will be a little bit too young to play, but maybe midway through the year, maybe someone will take a risk. We could bring him in at champs or something, but this team has so much young talent. Like, as said, I think only one player, I think it is Rose, is 20. Everyone else is 18, 17, 16, and 16. That's a roster we're looking at, beating out teams full of like seasoned pros, like pros who've been around for a while, or pros who've been grinding through the scene, or pros who've dropped down and are looking to fight their way back up. This team has come in and just gone, we're just going to make you look like fools.
Yeah. And, you know, we've spoken a little bit about it, but sure, there's a couple of players on, well, there's a lot of players on these teams that wouldn't be able to play in VCT next year. But the reality is, this is a marketing stunt still. Like, you're getting ready for the year that you are competing in that league and letting everyone know, like, hey, I'm a pretty good prospect. Again, maybe you can do it again next year. You're building experience as well. And for someone like Comeback, look, you get a little bit more experience under his belt, and he's going to be terrifying, because this was an incredible couple of days just watching this guy go around and frag out on the server. At times it looks like he's just sitting in a death match. So yeah, I'm very excited for what Pacific has to offer. Of course, like we said, we are going to have an interview in just a little bit with Rose, and we'll get to ask him a little bit about this squad, because there's a couple of teams on that other side that I'm curious to get his take on, because power levels have been very difficult for me coming into this, Tom. Usually when we talk about Ascension, when we talk about bringing regions together, there are regions that just flat out suck, but that doesn't seem to be the case this time around. One thing is for sure, though, aside of Pacific, they are a strong squad. After that domination, we've brought Rose in to have a little chat and pick his brain on how that series went. That's right, it's time for another Ascension interview. Rose, thank you so much for taking the time, and congratulations on your victory.
Thank you so much, guys.
So I wanted to kick things off. Rose, your team has come in. You've gone 4-0. I think expectations, let's be real, at the beginning, expectations for most people weren't even that your team would qualify. People were looking at Howl. They were talking a lot about Howl. You've now beaten 4 other regions. Do you think there's anyone left to doubt you at this stage?
I mean, you mean like other group, or I didn't get it, sorry.
Anybody in general, like fans or talent or even any teams? Do you think everybody now goes, okay, we need to worry about this team?
Like I mean, like in our country, like in Turkey, everybody was saying like these guys cannot do anything. Like, you know, like we raised from the close qualifier in this year, like 3 months ago, and everybody was saying like if they can stay in region, I mean like league, it's gonna be okay for them. Like, but and we were just trusting each other because we know we were so good, and that's it. I mean, like they know we are so good, but they are not talking to the community. But that's what I can say. Like everybody was talking about our tier list. Like everybody is putting us in D or C tier, but we were just laughing. You know, like these guys are talking like that, man. It's okay. Just we were underdog every time. That's the main thing for us. Like we just need to be underdog every time. Because when we are so, I mean, like how can I say? When they are looking to us like they are underdog, they are so bad, and that's the main power for us. Like we are just feeding from them. You know, like sorry for my bad English.
I don't know if they're going to look at you as the underdog after a 4-0 group, though. You guys are certainly making waves out there. You're drawing eyes. I wanted to ask you, looking over at Group A, because look, 4-0, nobody's competing with you in your group. A close game against Mouse, but for the most part, you guys have looked way better than the competition. You've earned your top spot. Do you think there's anybody in Group A that can challenge you, that can give you those close series, or is it going to be a walk in the park for Pacific?
Like I think we are I mean like we were playing Prek against them, like Gonex, Apex or something like that, and like Preks were very going like, how can I say, face to face, or how can I say, man, I don't know, like 12 to 12, like you know, like so close, so close. But like before the playoffs we were playing with them, and we were beating them in Preks. Like I don't want to give the name about team, but I think we are just gonna play our gameplay, like game style. That's the main thing for us. We just need to play what we worked about that, and that's the main, like how can I say, main what we need. You know, like that's it. That's what I can say. Everybody can come for us. It's, we don't, we don't care. You know.
So you are somewhat the old man of the team at the ripe old age of 20 years old, which makes me feel very old, I'll be honest. But at this stage, you've got 2 16-year-olds, a 17-year-old, and an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
How does it work in these sort of scenarios? Because you haven't really lost too much yet. Like obviously you've lost a map here and there, but is everybody just like super excited to be here, super confident, or are there moments where you, as the older player, have to go, all right, guys, come on, we need to do this, or you know, you got to get off, I don't know, Roblox or whatever other games that they're playing?
I mean, like when you are playing with young boys, like 16, 17, 18 years old players, when you are IGL, it's so easy to teach something to them, you know, like because they are not playing with their ego, they are just so open to improve their self. That's what I can say. That's the main thing, I guess. Awesome. Like, because they are not playing with their ego, they have zero ego. That's the main thing for me. Because if they have ego, they are gonna say like, bro, this guy is not better than me, like in game sense. Like when you are older, I mean, 20 to plus, like 20 plus, I mean, that's the main problem for our country. If you are older than the younger players, like me, I was playing with older than me guys. I mean, like players. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think like they're thinking himself like this guy is not better than me in game self. That's the problem. That's the always problem
I
in
get you.
FPS games, I guess. When they are like younger than you, that's not problem because they know you know something different from them. I know my game sense is like better than them, but their talent, I mean like aim power, like reflexes is so, how can I say, different. I cannot be there in level, you know, like in this like aim power or something like that. That's what I can say about that.
I'd say your aim power is pretty good. Come on, man. I've seen some of the clips you hit this game. I'm not having that. I'm not having that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, you've been solid, as has your team, Rose. Thank you so much for joining us for this interview. Really appreciate you taking the time. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the victory celebrations if there are
Thank
any.
you. You're welcome. Have a
And
nice
good
day.
luck.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, best of luck to Rose and the Pacific Boys. 4-0, a very impressive achievement to kick things off. And Tom, I've also heard in the meantime that Go Next have been eliminated from the running over on the A stream. They lost their series against Desire, and whatever happens in head-to-heads and so on, I believe they're down and out. Unlucky for them, but that means we've got some exciting games upcoming to decide how playoffs are going to be looking. Don't go anywhere. We're going to a break, and when we come back, we have more Valorant coming your way.
Didn't know how man stay fly, man, I just that guy and I work rate high. Didn't know how man stay lit, man, I just move quick and I stay active. Didn't know how man stay boss, man, I paid that cost, long nights on the job. Didn't know I'm a pro. Didn't know I'm in the zone. Didn't know how man stay fly, man, I just that guy and I work rate high. Didn't know how man stay lit, man, I just move quick and I stay active. Didn't know how man stay boss, man, I paid that cost, long nights on the job. Didn't know I'm a pro. Didn't know I'm in the zone. In my zone. Yeah, I feel at home. Silence on my phone. Focus on my goals. Whoa. Doing my thing, got the blinders on. Filling my stack, yeah, high and long. Time is on. I am a bomb. Golden touch, got the mind is on. Man, I don't play. I'm on the way. Beast more King Kong coming today. Obstacles try delay. Crush that, we don't just do okay. Hey, on a wave from the cave to main stage. I'm about to engage. Raise the price of my wage. Didn't know how man stay fly, man, I just that guy and I work rate high. Didn't know how man stay lit, man, I just move quick and